Hey everyone, I've got the X100v here. This is the camera I've been using for the past probably year and a half, almost daily, at least once or twice a week. It's one of those cameras that goes everywhere with me. It's it's small enough to put pretty much in any bag that I might take with me. I've taken this to the gas station before. I have a long strap that I just kind of put around my side here, and it really does kind of go everywhere. And it's given me the opportunity to take some of the best pictures that I've ever taken simply because it was there when I had something cool in front of me. So I have a slideshow I'm going to go through real quickly on just a couple of the fairly recent shots that I've picked out that have been, pretty cool and meaningful to me, and also shots that are a little bit of a step above what you get with a cell phone. So I know that your cell phone goes everywhere with you. The cell phones nowadays are absolutely amazing. I know that. Like, I love my cell phone. I use it for a bunch of stuff, and it's pretty cool. It's kind of a fun little compliment to do with like the ultra wide angle stuff. I'll take this with me, and I'll get most of my stuff with the 35 millimeter equivalent on the Fuji X100v. But then it's kind of fun to pull out my iPhone and do an ultra wide shot here and there as well. So it's a cool compliment your phone. But the great shots out of the X100v just will far outclass anything you get with any cell phone on the planet, even those like 50 and 60 megapixel crazy cell phones that they have out now. So I just wanted to make a little bit of a point that the X100V is an amazing camera in 2021 going into 2022. I've been using a lot of other brands lately. I really like the Sony A7C. It's pretty small and all that. But there's really not a camera that I would pick over the Fuji X100V to take with me pretty much everywhere. It's my little buddy, my little companion that I know is going to get amazing shots no matter what. So I'll show you some of the photos that I'm kind of talking about, and a little bit of the reasons why the X100 was so powerful, and I'm glad that I had it with me. So this is a shot where a lot of these, I was riding my bike. I love to go on my bike and just travel for 30, 40 miles sometimes around my house, and I find cool things. And this is one of those things where I got on my bike and went out probably about an hour away on my bike and just was going up and down some dirt roads. And it was great to have the X100V with me because, I don't want to have big, heavy cameras with me all the time. And the quality that you get out of the X100V is just phenomenal. So this photo is an example of a little lamppost. I had to switch it to manual mode in order to focus because all those blades were waving in front of my lens. I couldn't autofocus. And it's just great. The 35 millimeter f2 lens has more than enough separation when you use it at f2 to make the background blurry and to blur some of the foreground elements. And that's what you get right here, which is a shot that I really like, and one that couldn't have been possible with the cell phone. This is another one where it's not at all one of those spectacular great shots that I would put on a wall or sell in a shop or put up at a gallery or anything like that. But it is a shot that means a little bit to me. It was during COVID, and I felt coped up. And I know that any other camera would have worked. Like, I could have taken anything because I'm at home. But the Fuji X100V, being so tiny and light and small, and it's sitting on a counter anywhere in the house, I grab it and go out the door, and I'm able to get something like this. And it's just a memory that I have of a certain day in COVID when I felt a little bit trapped, and I was able to go outside and get some cool shots that I enjoy, that I keep, and that do have some really awesome background separation. I could have used, another camera, but this was the one that I had with me, right? That's the whole idea of the camera that you have with you is the best one. And if you can make it as good as the Fuji X100V, the camera that you have with you turns out to be phenomenal. This one was one that we went out with the family. It was an impromptu trip because the snow was so heavy, and we just got in the car real quick and went out to a couple spots. And again, the X100V served me well because I didn't even have to go upstairs where my other camera gear is. I picked this up knowing it was going to give me amazing results. Out here with the family again. This is where I have the X100V just kind of at my hip, and we're walking around at the lake, and it's just able to give you amazing shots. one of the powerful aspects of the X100V that I think is really just undervalued is probably the close focus ability. To have that in a camera this size, to be able to get wide shots, to be able to get landscapes, and then to be able to get some really amazing, incredibly detailed details, right, when you get really close, I think it's awesome. The f2 lens is much improved over previous versions, so then when you do get close, the shots are excellent. The opposite is true as well. You know, you can stop down a little bit and get some incredible clarity, some incredible detail. And this is an old bank I found when I was driving around and out in western Nebraska. And all I brought with me was my X100 because I didn't want to go heavy. It's one of those cameras it makes some choices for you, and that's kind of fun. There are literally times when I look at my camera gear and I'm like, what do I bring with me? Do I bring the 90, or do I bring the 100 to 400? Do I bring the 23? Do I bring the 10 to 24? And this is such a versatile focal length for me. I know some people don't like the 35 millimeter. I end up loving it because it's wide enough to do some really cool landscape shots, but it's also not super, there's not a lot of distortion for portraits or anything else that you might want to get, or details. So this is a cool bank I found, had it with me, got the photo. Same thing, that was on the same trip. This is actually not too far away from the previous location. And I happened to have the X100V with me. Took an awesome shot. Just a really, really nice one. Remember, probably a cell phone would have had a similar kind of look as far as like the ability to get wide and everything. But the X100V has so much more power to it. So much. Another one, out in the country, driving by, found this amazing scene in front of me. Incredible. Something I'll remember. This is one where my family and I were out on a little bike ride. And it was not too far from our house. Had it with me in my bag, riding around the bike, and I could quickly just pull it out and take some cool shots like this. Same thing there. Notice in this one, the f2, I'm focusing on the dirt in front of me, and the f2 is able to blur out the background just a little bit, enough to be able to have a little bit of mystery in there. I already have some mystery as far as the fog that was there, but then when you make the background just a touch blurry, it adds a little bit more of that feel to it, a little bit more of that kind of a aura to the photograph. Same trip, same bike ride, just down the street a little bit. Look up, I see this site on the pedestrian bridge, the Bob Carey pedestrian bridge here in Omaha, and it's awesome, right? This is definitely one that I think is really cool. I used the acro simulation and added some grain in there with the JPEG recipe. And turns out to be one of those photos that I really like. This is another one that I think is kind of cool. I'm under a bridge, I'm on my bike, and I'm looking up, and I use f2 on my Fuji X100, and I focus on the very top of the light post. And what it does is it makes the rest of the photo just a touch soft because it's a little bit out of focus, right? It's a little bit of blur, and the light itself is like razor sharp. So our eyes go there for a couple of different reasons. We guide them through the light, right? We look away from the dark areas, but we also look at areas of focus, and that's just sharp enough to bring our eyes there as well. Another one where the opposite is true. Stopping down again, get everything in focus. This is near the Henry Dooley Zoo in Omaha, and it just looks like this kind of wasteland, right? And this is a cool shot. But once again, I'm on my bike. I wouldn't have brought a bigger camera, most likely. Under a bridge, I love this shot. It's so easy to pull out of my bag and just get amazing shots with the X100. The colors are incredible, just vibrant. Holy cow, do you see that? I love this shot. It pops off of the screen. Same thing there. And I'm just using the X100. I'm on my bike. I get off my bike. I'm walking around. I'm using the camera. I'm putting it in the sky. I'm getting close. It's pretty awesome. And this is what I'm talking about as far as the insanely awesome ability of the X100V to be able to get really close and just destroy the background. So a lot of times I think that we underestimate the X100V's ability to do something like this. So for nature photography, even to go out and get a big field, you can go step back and go to like f8 or 5.6 and get a whole bunch in focus. But the ability then to throw down, get really close, get down low, and use f2 to blur the background, and you just focus on that one flower. The quality is really, really there. It's incredible. Same thing there. Just such a cool little detail. And this is just a common picture, not possible. You know, this last picture and this one, not possible with any cell phone on the planet, pretty much. You can get some close-up filters for cell phones, but the quality here is outstanding, right? So you're not going to even come close to that. And then, although this kind of looks like a macro shot, same thing here a little bit. Like you get the depth of field. This is not really macro, but you get really, really shallow depth of field. Generally, you know, you got to bring a pretty big lens to do that kind of stuff. And the X100V has a tiny little profile. It's small enough that this is on the side of a freeway, just on the looking out into the trees. I'm able to get low, point up, and get a cool composition. I had it with me on my bike ride again. Really pretty, just amazing little shot. On a walk with my family, I had it at my hip. Same thing, same trip, same walk. I had the camera on my hip, found this little composition. We can kind of lead our eyes into the photograph and see the cool flowers. It's a nice one. Same thing there, just getting close enough to get part of it in focus and blur everything else. Cool little shot. Again, the ability of the X100 to get close is just astounding. It's so awesome. And of course here, I'm just using the Acros simulation. That's how you say it, isn't it? Acros, not Acros. I really don't know. I've never heard it said, I don't think. But, you know, it's on the side of the road. I'm on my bike, jump off, take the shot, and that's something I'm really pleased with. This is out on my driveway. So I'm just out on my driveway, and I'm pointing towards the street down the hill from me. I get the ability to get these really cool skies. And this is actually a panorama, so it's like 6 shots that I stitched together. And I could do that from my driveway with the camera that's just right on my counter. I'm super tired in the mornings, and I just go like that. Pretty cool. Once again, nature, awesome, getting close. You know, you got to be real still. Get really, really slow when you're near a moth like that. And is that a moth? Or that's not a butterfly, is it? That's a moth, isn't it? I don't know. It's cool. And once again, bike ride with my family. Somebody had left a rock right there on that bridge, and it just says, "You matter." The sun was going down. I was able to use F2 to blur the background and still get that warmth from the sun that matches the warmth of the message, the "You matter." It's also, you know, matching the little bit of the yellow with on the pole that the rock was on with the background, and the X100V was able to do a super cool job. Again, that's the same trip. I walked over the bridge there, had the X100V with me, and getting close to this stuff, the wind was swaying, used a fast shutter speed, got that golden light coming in. It's just a really stunning photograph, in my opinion, and one that is not capable of I wouldn't be capable of making that with a cell phone, for instance. And this is out with the family. We're going to Brownville, Nebraska. I don't want to bring a bunch of camera gear with me, so I just brought this, and this is one of those stunner shots, right, where I'm like in awe of the sky and of the scene and of the road, the colors. Fuji colors are special, and the X100V is, right, the same kind of special quality as any of the other cameras that you can get from Fuji. Another one using a wider aperture and then getting low. This looks like some kind of horror house, doesn't it? It's you know, some kind of horror movie's about to happen. He's gonna jump out of there and use those look like torture chamber things. I don't even know, but cool photo. And these are all from the same trip, just to the family, just on the way home from Brownville, Nebraska, and got some cool skies, some cool shots, and once again, beautiful, beautiful photos. All these were taken because of the portability of the X100V. The ability to go anywhere with you and be an amazing camera is one of the favorite things about this camera. So, you know, I'm a big fan. I think photography is one part, you know, mechanics and technicality, and then one part art and soul. And this does help me to see the world in a little bit of a unique way. I enjoy using the optical viewfinder. I enjoy the sound of the shutter. Maybe I'm a gear nut. Maybe I'm a gear fanatic. I don't know, but I do love this thing. Even after using all these amazing cameras over this last year or so, using the best from Canon, the best from Sony, the best from Nikon, and I keep coming back to this specific camera and continuing to use it more than anything else. Even though I have the X Pro 3, which I could put the 33mm 1.4, or I could put the 18mm 1.4. I have those, like the newer kinds of lenses, and those are awesome. But I still end up grabbing this thing more because it's right there, and it's so light and it's so easy and fun to use. So, little ode to the X100V. If you have questions about it, let me know. I do love this camera, and I'll continue to make some videos about it. So, take care, everyone.